Garrison in Powell County has views of the mountains from all directions. The Little Blackfoot River connects to the Clark Fork. Traffic moves north and south to merge with travelers heading east or west.
Garrison's halfway between Yellowstone National Park and Glacier Park.
Sharon Shilo says many campers stop at her riverfront RV park on visits to the national parks. She tells them Garrison's a stickin' plumb.
You stick your head out the window, you're plumb through it.
Travelers from Missoula who need to meet somebody from Butte can shave travel time in miles by meeting halfway.
I'll meet you in Garrison.
Shirley Peters hears that all the time. The retired Garrison school teacher says it was a gathering spot for Native American tribes.
To go move on to hunting grounds. We were hunting for buffalo.
It was a strategic spot for what is now known as the Grant Corps Ranch National Historic Site.
They did trading in the valley here, doing cattle trading.
In the early days, they called it the east end of Hell's Gate. It could be dangerous territory.
And this was an easy place to ambush people down here where the river chokes down between the mountains.
Well, Garrison was founded as a railroad stop.
It brought people from all over the world.
Irish, there were Chinese, Eastern Europeans.
They had a roundhouse and water towers. There's a hotel. There's a pretty going concern in probably the 40s and 50s.
Ranching and logging are the backbone of any of these areas around Montana like this. In addition, here, at one point in time, we had the Cominco mine, and then we had the Milwaukee Railroad, which employed quite a few people in this area.
At one time, there was a phosphate plant that cooked down the phosphate and made a supplement for cattle feed and stuff. That was in the 60s.
Before its forced shutdown, the Rocky Mountain Phosphate plant was a dark chapter in Garrison history.
Kids at this school had to go to school year-round because of the days they missed from the plume of smoke that came out of that. It was a bad deal. There was cattle, all of their teeth were falling out from the phosphate that was being blown up into the air.
Drive I-90 and you're not likely to see this part of Garrison. It's kind of hidden. But years ago, it was a thriving residential and business community.
Well, the Interstate went through and chewed a bunch of it up.
And took out most of the buildings.
But some survived.
Gertz's grocery store. I bought it in the 80s and turned it into a cabinet shop.
It operated as a grocery store till the 70s.
The post office moved over to the truck stop.
There was a Welch's truck stop down here, had a diner, and they did all kinds of business. They had a little shop there. They'd do automotive repairs, put tires on cars. There was quite a bit going on.
It was pretty bustling. I've met lots of people. Oh, my mom, cooked at the truck stop or waitress there.
The truck stop burned down in the 70s. There was a grocery store.
You used to buy milk, bread, and eggs right down here in the little Garrison store because it would save you from having to drive 13 miles to Deer Lodge to go get it there.
Garrison is a shadow of what it used to be, but Tom Gilbert and Terry Sullivan say there's nowhere else they would want to live. It's still a crossroads and a community. When we come back, a new generation works to preserve Montana history at Garrison School. In a Montana Moment, we meet in Garrison, a strategic crossroads in the history of Montana. That history continues to evolve in the country school on the hill on Schoolhouse Road.
It is an intersection between all of our different grades coming together.
With 2 teachers and a paraprofessional, Garrison's 15 students get lots of one-on-one time.
Well, yeah, we're like a family. They all know each other.
Jill Mogan teaches kindergarten through 3rd grade.
So, where are we going to put parentheses?
She prepares 4 math and reading lesson plans for 4 grades. There's a wide range of ages, but there are only 7 students.
The positives is the older ones get a chance to read to the younger ones. The younger ones can pick up what the next older grade is doing.
In the next classroom, Katie Becker teaches the older students.
This is 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, and we are doing Montana history right now.
Katie Becker's class is holding a mock trial for Henry Plummer. He was the sheriff of Bannock, hanged by vigilantes in the 1860s. The kids are learning about events that happened during Montana's gold rush days more than 150 years ago.
I do like Montana history mainly because one of my favorite things about history is out in the Old West.
Clayton plays Henry Plummer's deputy.
So Cade is trying to defend both of you, right?
Ole plays Henry Plummer.
Ole, do you want to share what you've done so far?
Ole's drawn pictures of that time in history, including a drawing of Henry Plummer himself. He loves Montana's cowboy culture.
Riding a horse and roping and wearing a gun.
Ole's a true ranch kid.
I like the animals and cows, and I also like the old-fashioned way of doing it.
He comes by it naturally. The Beck family are longtime ranchers in the valley.
The joke of it is they got here a long, long time ago and their wagon broke down and none of them were smart enough to fix it.
Ole's ancestors raised sheep in the 1880s.
Then my great-grandpa switched to cows, and then we've been running cows ever since.
Ole's dad, Don, says Ole's forebear, Andrew Axel Beck, started ranching here in Garrison when he was just a kid.
He was 12 years old in the 6th grade. He quit school and started buying the ranch that I'm on now. We raise commercial Black Angus cattle.
They still raise a few sheep. The Becks are just about done calving. Calving keeps the family close to home.
Going to Deer Lodge when I was a kid was a once-a-month trip, and going to Missoula was a once-a-year trip.
Don says times have certainly changed, but cattle and ranching still keep the Beck family and other ranchers on the ranch. That's okay with Ole.
There's no big cities around, and there's no people that crowd you.
It's a new generation making their own history in Garrison. Kevin Mackey, NBC, Montana.